I woke up at 3 in the morning to the sound of Lena's voice drifting through the bedroom door. She was speaking Thai, soft, quiet Thai that she thought I couldn't understand. I'd been pretending to sleep when she'd slipped out of bed, grabbed her phone, and walked onto our balcony. Now I lay there in the darkness, every muscle in my body tense, listening to words I was never meant to comprehend. "He's just for stability. You are my real man." The sentence hit me like a physical blow. I understood every word, every syllable, every implication. For the past year, I'd been secretly studying Thai, not because I suspected anything, just because I loved the challenge of learning a new language, and I'd wanted to surprise Lena someday by understanding the conversation she had with her family. I'd imagine her face when she realized I could follow along, how proud she'd be, how it would bring us closer together. I'd never imagined the language would be the thing that destroyed me. He's slow, harmless, easy to control. My hands were shaking beneath the blanket. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped wire around my ribs and was pulling it tighter with each word she spoke. "Just wait. After I get the money for the condo, I'll leave him." There was a pause. She laughed softly at something her boyfriend, her real boyfriend, the one I didn't know existed, must have said. Then came the final sentence that shattered whatever was left intact inside me. "Don't worry. He loves me too much to leave." She was right. I did love her too much. I loved her with the desperate, all-consuming love of a man who'd been alone for years and thought he'd finally found someone who saw value in him. But she'd never loved me back. She'd just been exceptionally good at pretending. I stayed in that bed for another hour after she came back inside, curled up beside me, and fell asleep with her hand resting on my chest like she had every right to be there, like she was my wife instead of someone running a long con that I'd been too naive to see. When the sun rose, I knew exactly what I had to do. Not revenge. I wasn't built for revenge. Not confrontation. I wasn't built for that either. Just walking away. Quietly. Completely. Permanently. Because the truth I'd learned by understanding her language hadn't set me free. It had destroyed me. If you've been enjoying the stories I create, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. My name is Evan Whitaker. I'm 53 years old from Akron, Ohio, and I've spent most of my adult life fixing things that other people had broken. I started working in auto body repair when I was 19 straight out of high school. No college, just an apprenticeship at a local shop where my uncle worked. The job suited me. It was methodical, precise, satisfying. You took something damaged and made it whole again. Dents became smooth. Paint chips became invisible. Wrecked cars left the shop looking new. I was good at it. Patient enough to do the detail work that others rush through. Humble enough not to argue when customers complained about timelines or prices. Within a few years, I was one of the most requested technicians at the shop, known for quality work and reasonable turnaround times. I married at 26. Her name was Jennifer, and we'd known each other since high school. The marriage was fine for the first few years. We got along well enough, had similar enough goals, and built a comfortable, if unexciting, life together. But by year 10, we'd grown into different people. Jennifer wanted adventure, travel, excitement. I wanted stability, routine, the comfort of familiar patterns. She'd talk about quitting our jobs and backpacking through Europe. I'd talk about saving for retirement and paying off the mortgage early. The divorce came when I was 39. No dramatic fights, no betrayals, just a mutual acknowledgement that we wanted different things from life and neither of us should have to compromise. We sold the house, split the assets, and went our separate ways. I threw myself back into work, picked up extra shifts, volunteered for the complicated jobs no one else wanted, became the guy who was always at the shop. The owner joked that I practically lived there. He wasn't wrong. Work was easier than going home to an empty apartment and facing how alone I actually was. The years passed. 40 became 45, became 50. I dated occasionally, met women through friends, tried online dating with limited success, but nothing ever developed into anything serious. I'd go on a few dates, feel the familiar discomfort of trying to connect with someone new, and let things fade away rather than push through the awkwardness. My social circle shrank. The guys from the shop were mostly younger, with families and lives that didn't leave much room for including the quiet older technician who preferred to keep to himself. My childhood friends had all moved away or gotten so wrapped up in their own lives that we drifted apart. By 50, I'd accepted that this was my life. Work, home, sleep, repeat. Not unhappy exactly, but profoundly lonely in ways I'd stopped trying to fix. Then my body started giving me problems. Decades of physical labor bending, lifting, working in awkward positions had taken a toll. My back ached constantly. My knees were shot. My hands had developed arthritis that made detailed work increasingly painful. The shop owner suggested early retirement. The company offered a decent package if I left at 52 rather than working to full retirement age. I'd have a small pension, my savings, and the option to do consulting work if I wanted to stay involved. I took the offer, sold most of my belongings, downsized to just what I'd need, and started researching places where a single man could live cheaply and comfortably on a modest retirement income. Thailand kept appearing in my searches. Warm weather year-round, low cost of living, a large expat community, healthcare that was affordable and high quality. And, most importantly, it was far enough from Ohio that I'd be forced to build something new rather than staying trapped in familiar patterns. I visited Chiang Mai for a month. The city surprised me. Beautiful temples, mountains surrounding the old city, friendly people, and a pace of life that felt manageable for someone like me who craved routine and quiet. I went back to Ohio, finalized my retirement paperwork, and moved to Chiang Mai with 2 suitcases and about $190,000 in savings. Enough to live comfortably for years if I was careful. The loneliness came with me, of course. You can't outrun your own emotional state. But, at least in Thailand, the loneliness felt like it might be temporary. Like maybe, eventually, I'd find what I was looking for. That's the state I was in when I met Lena, hopeful, vulnerable, desperate for connection. All the qualities that made me the perfect victim. I met Lena 3 months after moving to Chiang Mai. I'd been exploring the city, trying to establish routines that would give my days structure. One of those routines was visiting a small day spa near my condo for massages that helped with my chronic back pain. The spa was modest, not touristy, just a local place where Thai families came for affordable treatments. Lena worked the reception desk, greeting customers, managing appointments, handling payments. She was 31, from Phai Au province in northern Thailand, and she had the kind of gentle demeanor that made everyone feel immediately comfortable. When I'd walk in, she'd smile and greet me by name, remembering details from previous visits. "Mr. Evan, how is your back today? Better?" "A little. The massage last week helped." "Good, good. I am happy. Today I book you with Kun Som. She is very strong, very good for back pain." It was professional, courteous, nothing more. But after years of being invisible, of walking through life without anyone really seeing me, her attention felt significant. She remembered my name. She asked about my well-being. She seemed genuinely pleased when I reported improvement. I started coming to the spa more frequently. Twice a week became 3 times, then 4. I'd book massages I didn't really need, just to have an excuse to interact with Lena at the reception desk. She'd chat with me between customers, asked about my life in America, why I'd moved to Thailand, what I did with my days. I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't with anyone in years. "You seem very peaceful," she said one afternoon. "Not like some Farang who come to Thailand. They are always stressed, always rushing. But you are calm." "I try to be. Life's too short to be constantly stressed. This is good thinking. In Thailand, we have saying, Jai Yen Yen, cool heart. You have cool heart. I'm not sure about that. I think I'm just quiet. Quiet is good. My father was quiet man, very strong but very gentle. You remind me of him." The comparison touched something deep inside me. I'd spent years feeling like my quiet nature was a defect, something that had cost me my marriage and prevented me from forming meaningful connections. Hearing someone frame it as a strength changed how I saw myself. After about a month of regular visits, I asked if she'd like to have coffee sometime. She hesitated just briefly, then smiled. "I would like that. But maybe we go to small cafe? Not fancy place. I am simple girl, not comfortable with expensive things." We met for coffee. On her day off, the conversation flowed easily. She told me about growing up in Phai Au, about moving to Chiang Mai for work opportunities, about her dreams of eventually having a small business of her own. I told her about my career in auto body repair, about my divorce, about my decision to start over in Thailand. "You are brave," she said. "Many people, They stay in place, they know, even if they are unhappy. But you chose to change your life completely. This takes courage. I don't know if it's courage or just desperation to feel something different. Sometimes those are the same thing. We started seeing each other regularly. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became long walks through the old city. Walks became evenings at my condo where she'd cook Thai food, and we'd watch movies with Thai subtitles that she'd translate for me. "Your Thai is very bad," she'd say with a laugh when I'd try to repeat phrases she taught me. I know. I'm terrible with languages. But you try. That is sweet. Most Farang, they don't try. They expect everyone to speak English. The relationship developed slowly, naturally. She never asked for money, never pushed for commitment, never seemed to want anything from me except companionship. That absence of pressure made me trust her more. If she was just after financial support, she'd have been more aggressive, right? About 8 months into our relationship, I proposed. Not dramatically, I bought a simple ring and asked her during a quiet dinner at her favorite restaurant. "Would you marry me?" She looked genuinely surprised. "You are serious?" "Very serious. I know we haven't known each other that long, but I'm 53 years old. I've been married before. I know what I want, and I want to spend my life with you." Tears formed in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will marry you." We married 2 months later, in a small ceremony, at a Chiang Mai temple. Her family came, mother, siblings, various relatives, and everyone seemed genuinely happy about the match. Her mother hugged me and said something in Thai that Lena translated as, "Thank you for taking care of my daughter. You are a good man." Standing there with Lena in traditional Thai wedding clothes, I felt something I hadn't felt in over a decade. Complete. Like all the years of loneliness had been leading to this moment, this person, this chance at happiness. I believed every moment of it. Why wouldn't I? She'd given me no reason to doubt her sincerity. She was kind, attentive, affectionate. She made me feel valued in ways I'd never experienced. What I didn't know was that every gesture, every word, every moment of apparent intimacy was carefully calibrated. That she'd been maintaining a parallel life with her Thai boyfriend of 7 years throughout our entire relationship. That the wedding I thought was the beginning of our future together was just another transaction in her carefully managed double life. But I didn't know any of that yet. I was too busy being happy to question whether the happiness was real. About 2 months after we married, I made a decision that would eventually destroy me. I started learning Thai. Not because I suspected anything, Lena had given me no reason to be suspicious. I started learning because I wanted to surprise her. I imagined the day when I'd suddenly respond to something her mother said in Thai, when I'd understand the jokes her siblings made, when I'd be able to follow along with the Thai TV shows she liked to watch. I enrolled in a private language school that catered to expats. My teacher was a Thai woman named Kun Nitaya, who specialized in teaching older students who learned at a slower pace. Thai is very difficult language for English speakers, she warned me during our first session. The tones are challenging. Many Farang give up quickly. "I'm patient," I said. "I've got time, and I'm motivated." "Why do you want to learn?" Most retired Farang, they just use English and Google Translate. "I want to understand my wife's world better. She speaks Thai with her family, with her friends. I want to be part of those conversations, instead of just sitting there smiling and nodding." Kun Nitaya smiled. "That is beautiful reason. Okay, we will work hard together." I studied 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings, while Lena was at work. Kun Nitaya was patient with my slow progress, never making me feel stupid when I mispronounced words or mixed up tones. "Speaking will take long time," she said. "But listening, you can learn faster. Your ear will adjust to the sounds. You will start understanding even if you cannot respond." She was right. After about 3 months, I started picking up words and phrases. Nothing complex, but enough to catch the general meaning when Lena spoke Thai on the phone or with shopkeepers. I didn't tell her I was studying, kept it as my private project, a secret I'd reveal when my Thai was good enough to have actual conversations. I imagined her surprise and delight when she realized I'd been working on this for months just to connect with her more deeply. It never occurred to me that understanding her language would reveal things I was never meant to know. By month 6 of our marriage, my listening comprehension had improved significantly. I still couldn't speak fluently, my pronunciation was terrible, and I'd freeze up when trying to form sentences, but I could understand maybe 60% of basic conversations. That's when I started noticing things. The changes in Lena's behavior were subtle at first. She'd always taken phone calls in Thai. I'd assumed they were from her family or co-workers, nothing unusual. But now I'd catch fragments I could understand, and the tone seemed off. One evening, about 7 months into our marriage, her phone rang while we were watching TV. She glanced at the screen, stood up quickly, and walked onto the balcony to answer. Through the open door, I heard her speaking Thai in a voice that was different from her usual tone. Softer, more intimate. She was laughing at something, the kind of laugh I associated with private jokes. I caught a few words. Miss you. Tomorrow. Don't worry. When she came back inside, I asked casually, everything okay? Yes, fine. Just my sister. She has problem with her boyfriend. Always drama with her. The explanation seemed reasonable, but something about the way she'd looked when she saw who was calling that flash of excitement quickly hidden bothered me. Over the following weeks, I paid more attention, started noting patterns. She'd take calls outside or in the bathroom, always in Thai, always with that particular tone of voice. She'd receive messages that would make her smile in ways I rarely saw directed at me. She'd sometimes leave in the evening, claiming she needed to work a late shift at the spa and wouldn't return until after midnight. They need me for special event, she'd explain. Big group booking. I must stay to help. But when I'd visited the spa casually one evening, just dropping by to surprise her, I told myself she wasn't there. The receptionist on duty said Lena had left hours earlier. Maybe you miss her? The receptionist suggested. She finished at 6 o'clock today. It was 9 p.m. Where had she been for 3 hours? When I asked her about it later, she looked flustered for just a moment before recovering. Oh, I went to help my friend after work. She has shop, need help moving some things. I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry. The explanation was plausible. But combined with the phone calls, the late nights, the messages that made her smile, a picture was starting to form that I didn't want to see. I tried to dismiss it, told myself I was being paranoid, that my insecurities from my failed first marriage were creating suspicions where none were warranted. Lena had been nothing but kind to me. She deserved better than my unfounded doubt. But the doubt wouldn't go away. It sat in my chest like a stone, growing heavier every time she took a call outside, every time she came home late, every time she smiled at her phone in ways she didn't smile at me. The turning point came about 8 months into our marriage. I'd woken up around midnight to use the bathroom. Lena was asleep beside me, or so I thought. As I passed through the living room, I saw her phone on the coffee table. The screen was lit up with a notification. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't, but the doubt had grown so large that I couldn't ignore it anymore. The notification was a line voice message. I tapped it without thinking, and a man's voice filled the quiet apartment speaking Thai. Don't worry about him. He believes everything you say. Just get the money for the motorcycle soon so we can upgrade. I'm tired of this old piece of junk. I stood there in the dark, replaying those words in my mind, translating them, making sure I'd understood correctly. I had. Every word was clear. There was a him who believed everything. There was money to be obtained. There was a we that included Lena and this man. There was a relationship that involved shared purchases and future planning. I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it and returned to bed. Lay there in the darkness beside my wife, the woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted completely, and felt my heart breaking in real time. But I needed more than a single voice message. I needed to be absolutely certain before confronting her. Because once I confronted her, everything would change. Our marriage would either be destroyed or somehow salvaged, but it would never be the same. I had to be sure. Completely, devastatingly sure. The confirmation came a week later. I'd gone to bed early, claiming I was tired. Lena had stayed up watching Thai TV, which was normal. I lay in bed pretending to sleep, waiting. Around 11 p.m., I heard her phone vibrate with a call. She answered immediately, speaking softly. Then I heard her footsteps moving through the apartment, the sliding door to the balcony opening and closing. She thought I was asleep. She thought she was safe to talk freely. I got up silently, moved to the bedroom door, left slightly ajar, and listened. My Thai wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for this. More than good enough. I miss you too, she was saying. I know it's hard, but this is temporary. A pause while the other person spoke. He's just for stability. You are my real man. You know this. The words hit like bullets. each one precise, deadly, destroying something essential inside me. I know you hate that I have to pretend, but we need the money. My family needs help, and his pension is steady. Just be patient. More silence. Then she laughed softly at something he said. No, he doesn't suspect anything. He's sweet, but slow, harmless, easy to control. My hands were shaking. I pressed them against my thighs to stop the trembling, but it just spread through my whole body. The condo plan? Yes, I'm working on it. I'm going to suggest we buy a small property for investment. He'll agree. He always agrees when I say it's for our future. Then we can sell it later and use the money however we want. Our future. She said, our future, with him, not me. I was just the financing mechanism for their actual life together. How long, she said, responding to something he'd asked. Maybe another year? Maybe 2? I need to be smart about this. If I leave too soon, I get nothing. But if I wait until he's more invested, maybe I can negotiate better when we divorce. She was already planning our divorce, already calculating how to maximize what she'd get from me. Our marriage was just a business arrangement with an exit strategy. Don't worry, she said, her voice soft and reassuring. He loves me too much to leave. I can see it in his eyes. He's one of those men who'd rather be with someone who doesn't love him back than be alone. As long as I keep being sweet to him, he'll never question anything. That sentence destroyed whatever was left intact inside me. Because she was right. I did love her too much. I was exactly the kind of man she described, so afraid of loneliness that I'd accept crumbs of affection rather than face being alone again. She'd read me perfectly, and she was using that knowledge to systematically exploit me while maintaining her real relationship with someone else. Okay, I need to go back inside before he wakes up. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll tell him I have to work late. We can have dinner together, just us. I love you. Good night. I heard the balcony door slide open, her footsteps approaching the bedroom. I dove back into bed, pulled the covers up, forced my breathing to slow even though my heart was hammering so hard I was sure she'd hear it. She slid into bed beside me, placed her hand on my chest like she always did, that gesture of possession and comfort that I'd once found reassuring. Now it felt like a brand, a mark of ownership over something she didn't actually value. I lay there for hours after she fell asleep, staring at the ceiling, translating and retranslating what I'd heard to make sure I hadn't misunderstood. But there was no misunderstanding. The tie was clear. The meaning was clear. The truth was devastatingly, inescapably clear. My wife of 8 months was maintaining a 7-year relationship with a Thai man. I was her financial safety net, her stability provider, the fool who paid for the life she was actually living with someone else. Everything I'd believed about our marriage was false. Every moment of apparent intimacy had been performance. Every time she'd said she loved me, she'd been lying. And she was so confident I'd never find out that she'd had these conversations on our balcony, just a few meters from where I slept. When the sun rose, I knew exactly what I had to do. I needed one more confirmation. Not because I doubted what I'd heard the conversation on the balcony had been explicit enough, but because I wanted to see if she'd actually go through with what she'd described. A few days later, during a quiet dinner at home, I brought it up casually. I've been thinking about our financial future. Lena looked up from her plate. Yes? Maybe we should invest in property. A small condo, nothing expensive. Just something that could appreciate in value and give us security. Her eyes lit up. Actually lit up, with an excitement I rarely saw from her. You think so? That would be wonderful. Very smart thinking. I was thinking maybe 1.5 million baht? Something small but well located? Yes, that is perfect amount. I can help look for good location. My friend, she knows real estate agent who can help us. She was practically vibrating with enthusiasm. This was what she'd been working toward, what she'd discussed with her boyfriend. I'd just offered it up voluntarily, exactly as she'd predicted I would. Is this really what you want? I asked, watching her face carefully. For our future together, she reached across the table and took my hand, her expression soft and loving. With you, everything is perfect. You take such good care of me. I am very lucky. Even knowing what I knew, having heard her dismiss me as just for stability, having heard her call me slow and easy to control, part of me still wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe that maybe I'd misunderstood, that maybe there was some explanation that would make everything okay. But then her phone buzzed on the table beside her plate. The screen lit up with a line message that I could see clearly. Did he agree? We need the money fast. My bike is dying. The message was from a contact saved as P. Just a single letter. Not a name, nothing that would identify the sender. But I knew who P was. I'd heard her talking to him on the balcony, heard her call him her real man, heard her promise him she'd get money for a motorcycle. And now, seconds after I'd agreed to invest in a condo, he was asking if I'd agreed, because she'd told him in advance this was her plan, because they'd discussed it together. Because buying a condo wasn't about our future, it was about creating an asset they could liquidate when she left me. Everything broke inside me at once, not with anger, not with rage, just with a quiet, complete collapse of whatever had been holding me together. "Excuse me," I said, standing up. "I need to use the bathroom." I walked to the bathroom, closed the door, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. The man looking back was 53 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes, and the kind of face that people forget immediately after meeting. Unremarkable, forgettable, easy to exploit. Lena had seen all of that, had calculated exactly how to use it, had maintained a performance for 8 months, so convincing that I'd believed every moment of it, even while she laughed about how easy I was to manipulate. I returned to the dining room. Lena was typing something on her phone, smiling slightly, probably telling P that, yes, I'd agreed. The plan was working perfectly. The foolish foreigner would finance their future without even realizing it. "Actually," I said, "I need to think about the condo idea more. It's a big financial commitment. Let's not rush into anything." Her smile faltered just slightly. "But you just said you thought it was a good idea?" "I know, but I want to research more first. Make sure we're making the right choice." Of course. Very smart. We should be careful." But I could see the disappointment in her eyes, the frustration that I'd suddenly become less predictable than she'd counted on. I spent the rest of the evening in a fog, going through the motions of normalcy, while my mind worked through what came next. By the time we went to bed, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront her, wasn't going to demand explanations or apologies, wasn't going to give her the chance to cry or manipulate or construct new lies. I was just going to leave, quietly, completely, without warning, because staying would mean living with the knowledge that everything was false, that every smile was performance, every "I love you" was calculation, every moment of apparent intimacy was just her earning her keep. And I couldn't do that. I'd rather be alone than be with someone who saw me as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. I waited until Lena left for work the next morning, kissed her goodbye like normal, told her I'd see her that evening, watched her walk down the hallway toward the elevator. The moment the elevator doors closed, I started packing. I didn't take everything, just clothes, documents, laptop, the things I'd actually need. Everything else could stay. The furniture I'd bought, the appliances, the small luxuries I'd accumulated over the past year, Lena could have it all. I didn't care. Material things meant nothing compared to getting out. It took me 3 hours to pack 2 suitcases and a backpack. Everything else I left behind: the Thai marriage certificate, wedding photos, the small gifts Lena had given me over the course of our relationship, evidence of a marriage that had never actually existed. I left my apartment keys on the kitchen table. Didn't leave a note. What would I even say? "I understand Thai better than you thought, and I heard everything. I know about your boyfriend and the fact that you've been using me. Our entire marriage was a lie, and I can't stay married to someone who sees me as nothing more than an ATM." There were no words that would make any of this better or clearer or more resolved. So I left nothing, just the keys sitting on the table where she'd find them when she came home. I took a taxi to the airport, didn't look back at the city I'd thought would be my home, didn't feel anything except a profound numbness that was probably my mind's way of protecting itself from complete breakdown. At the airport, I booked a one-way ticket to Los Angeles with a connection to Cleveland. The next available flight was in 6 hours. I sat in the departure lounge, phone turned off, waiting. Lena would be calling me soon, would be trying to reach me when I didn't respond to her messages, when I didn't answer my phone, when she came home to find me gone. She'd cycle through confusion, panic, maybe even genuine worry, but I wouldn't be there to witness any of it. Wouldn't be there to be convinced to stay, to hear her explanations and apologies and promises that things would be different. I was done. Completely, irrevocably done. The flight boarded. I walked through the gate, found my seat, and watched Thailand disappear beneath the clouds as we climbed toward cruising altitude. I'd come to this country hoping to find peace, companionship, maybe even love. Instead, I'd found someone who'd studied my vulnerabilities and exploited them with surgical precision. The pain would come later, I knew that. Right now, I was just numb. But eventually, the numbness would fade, and I'd have to face what I'd lost. Not Lena. Exactly, I'd never actually had her. But the belief that someone could genuinely care about me. The hope that I could build something real with another person. The trust that kindness meant what it appeared to mean. All of that was gone now. Destroyed by understanding a language I'd learned specifically to feel closer to someone who'd never wanted to be close to me at all. I landed in Cleveland 23 hours after leaving Chiang Mai. The journey had been a blur: airports, flights, layovers, all of it passing in a fog of exhaustion and emotional shutdown. My brother picked me up from the airport. I'd called him from LAX during my layover, given him the abbreviated version, married a Thai woman, discovered she'd been using me, left everything behind and came home. "Jesus, Evan," he said when he saw me in baggage claim. "You look like hell." "I feel worse than I look." He drove me to his house in Medina, about 20 minutes from the airport. His wife had set up their guest room, and they both had the good sense not to press for details I wasn't ready to give. I slept for 16 hours. When I woke up, my phone was still off, and I intended to keep it that way. "You need to turn it on eventually," my brother said when I came downstairs. "Deal with whatever needs dealing with." "Not yet, I can't. I can't hear her voice right now. Can't read her messages. If I do, part of me will want to believe whatever she says, and I can't go through that." "What happened?" "Really?" I told him everything. Meeting Lena, marrying her, secretly studying Thai, the conversations I'd overheard, the realization that our entire relationship had been a calculated performance. "She thought you didn't understand Thai." "Yeah, I'd been keeping it secret, planning to surprise her. Instead, I surprised myself with the truth." "Did you confront her? Tell her what you knew?" "No, I just left." What would be the point of confronting her? She'd deny it, or cry, or come up with some explanation I'd want to believe. Better to just end it cleanly. My brother was quiet for a moment. "That takes strength. Most people would want the confrontation, the drama, the satisfaction of watching her squirm. I'm not built for confrontation. Never have been. I just want it out." Over the following days, I finally turned on my phone. The messages started loading immediately, dozens of them, spanning the 24 hours since I'd left. From Lena. "Where are you? Are you okay? Please answer me. I'm worried. Why did you leave? What happened? We can talk about whatever is wrong. Please come back. I love you. Please don't do this." Then, after she must have realized I really wasn't coming back, "I don't understand why you left. I thought we were happy. At least tell me you're safe. I'm so worried about you. Please, just talk to me. We can fix whatever is wrong. And finally, I guess you're not coming back. I hope you find what you're looking for. I'm sorry for whatever I did to make you leave." The messages were perfect, concerned, loving, confused, exactly what you'd expect from a devoted wife whose husband had mysteriously disappeared. If I hadn't heard her real feelings expressed on that balcony, I might have believed she actually cared. But I had heard her. I knew what she really thought. The messages were just more performance, more manipulation, more attempts to maintain the fiction. I didn't respond. Blocked her number, blocked her line account, blocked her on every platform where she might try to reach me. Gone. Completely. Finally. Permanently gone. The weeks that followed were dark. Not the acute pain of fresh loss, but a deep, numbing depression that made everything feel distant and meaningless. I stayed with my brother for 2 months. Barely left the guest room. Couldn't eat properly. Couldn't sleep properly. Couldn't focus on anything except the endless loop of memories and questions cycling through my mind. Had any of it been real, even for a moment? Had she ever felt genuine affection for me? Or had every smile, every kind word, every moment of apparent intimacy been nothing but acting? I'd never know. That was the worst part. I could replay every conversation, every interaction, every moment of our relationship, and I'd never be able to separate the truth from the performance. She'd been too good at it. "You need to see someone," my brother's wife said eventually. "A therapist. You can't just sit in this room forever." "I know. Then do something about it. You're not the first person to get his heart broken. You'll survive this. Will I? It wasn't rhetorical. I genuinely didn't know if I would survive this. The betrayal was so complete, so thorough, that it had destroyed something fundamental about how I understood relationships. I finally saw a therapist, a woman in her 60s who specialized in grief and loss. I told her everything, the loneliness that had driven me to Thailand, meeting Lena, the marriage, secretly learning Thai, the conversations I'd overheard. You learned her language to feel closer to her, the therapist said. And instead, the language showed you the truth. That must feel like a terrible betrayal, not just of you, but of the effort you put into learning. I thought understanding her language would bring us closer. Instead, it destroyed everything. The language didn't destroy your marriage. The language revealed that your marriage was already destroyed. It was never what you thought it was. That doesn't make it hurt less. No. But it does mean the pain you're feeling isn't about losing her. It's about losing the illusion. You're grieving something that never existed. She was right. I wasn't mourning Lena. I was mourning the version of Lena I'd believed in. The kind, attentive wife who'd seemed to value me. That person had never existed. She'd been a character Lena performed to extract resources from a lonely, vulnerable man. The real Lena was the woman on the balcony, laughing about how easy I was to control. That was who I'd actually married, and I'd never really known her at all. Divorcing Lena was complicated by the fact that we'd been married in Thailand. I hired a lawyer who specialized in international family law, and we worked through the process of getting the marriage dissolved. Lena didn't contest it, didn't ask for anything, just signed the papers and let it proceed without drama. Part of me had expected a fight for her to demand money, property, support. But I think she understood that fighting would require explanations, and explanations would reveal things she'd rather keep hidden. Easier to just let me go and move on to the next target. The divorce finalized 6 months after I'd left Thailand. I was officially single again, with nothing to show for my year-long marriage except depleted savings and a profound distrust of my own judgment. I'd spent about $60,000 during the relationship wedding costs, supporting her family, normal living expenses, the various ways I'd tried to be a good husband. Not a fortune, but a significant chunk of my retirement savings. More importantly, I'd spent emotional capital I'd never get back. The willingness to trust, to be vulnerable, to believe that someone could care about me, all of that was gone now, used up on someone who'd never deserved it. I moved back to Akron eventually, found a small apartment, picked up some part-time work doing consultations for auto body shops, tried to rebuild something resembling a life. I didn't date, couldn't imagine trusting another person with my emotions after what had happened. The fear of being fooled again, of mistaking performance for genuine connection, was too overwhelming. I'd go to work, come home, eat dinner alone, watch TV alone, sleep alone. Not particularly happy, but not particularly unhappy either, just existing, getting through the days without feeling much of anything. Friends and family would suggest I try online dating, or join social groups, or put myself out there again. I'd smile and nod and make vague promises I had no intention of keeping. Because the truth was, I didn't want to try again. Trying had led me to Lena. Trying had resulted in the worst betrayal I'd ever experienced. Better to be alone than to risk that kind of pain a second time. About a year after leaving Thailand, I received a message from Kun Nitaya, my Thai language teacher. Somehow, she tracked down my email address. Kun Evan, I hope you are well. I heard you returned to America. I wanted to say I'm sorry your marriage did not work out. I hope learning Thai did not cause problems for you. You were a good student. I'm sorry if the language brought pain instead of connection. Reading her message, I realized she'd somehow heard about what happened, maybe through the expat community in Chiang Mai, maybe through Lena herself. Word traveled fast in tight-knit communities. I replied, "Thank you for reaching out. Learning Thai wasn't a mistake. It showed me the truth. If I hadn't understood, I would have stayed in a false marriage, believing I was happy while being systematically exploited. The truth hurt, but it was better than living a lie. You were an excellent teacher. Thank you for giving me the tools to understand what was really happening in my life." She responded, "You are a brave man. Many people would prefer comfortable lie to painful truth. I hope you find peace." Peace. That seemed unlikely. But maybe, eventually, I'd find something close to it. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd studied Thai to feel closer to Lena, to understand her world. to be a better husband. Instead, the language had revealed that I'd never been her husband in any meaningful sense. I'd been her retirement plan, her financial safety net, the fool who paid for her real life with someone else. Learning Thai hadn't connected us. It had exposed the disconnect that had always been there, hidden beneath layers of performance and manipulation. Sometimes I wondered what would have happened if I'd never learned Thai. If I'd remained ignorant of the conversations she had on the balcony, the plans she was making with her boyfriend, the way she really saw me. Would I have been happier? Would ignorance have been better than knowledge? The answer was probably yes. If I'd never understood Thai, I could have continued believing Lena cared about me. The illusion would have persisted indefinitely, or at least until she'd extracted enough and decided to leave. I would have been hurt eventually, but maybe not as devastatingly as I'd been hurt by understanding the truth. But I couldn't regret learning the language. It had given me agency, the power to leave before things got worse, the ability to end the relationship on my own terms, rather than waiting to be discarded when I'd outlived my usefulness. The language had destroyed me, but it had also freed me. I just wasn't sure if the freedom was worth the destruction. It's been 3 years since I left Thailand. I'm 56 now, still in Akron, still alone, still working part-time, and living quietly. I've thought a lot about what happened and what I learned from it. The lessons are painful but clear. 1. Loneliness makes you vulnerable in ways you can't defend against. Lena identified my loneliness and used it as a weapon, and I let her because being with someone who was using me felt better than being alone. 2. Performance and authenticity are almost impossible to distinguish when someone is skilled at manipulation. Lena was exceptionally good at seeming genuine. Every gesture, every word, every moment of apparent intimacy was calibrated perfectly. I couldn't have detected the deception without the accidental advantage of understanding her private conversations. 3. Understanding someone's language doesn't mean understanding their heart. I learned Thai, thinking it would bring us closer. Instead, it showed me how far apart we'd always been. The language was just a tool that revealed truth. It didn't create connection where none existed. 4. Some truths are more painful than comfortable lies. Knowing what Lena really thought, how she really saw me, what she was really planning, that knowledge destroyed me in ways that ignorance never would have. But I still believe truth is better. Living a lie would have been its own form of destruction, just slower and more insidious. 5. Not everyone who shows you kindness deserves your trust. Kindness can be genuine or strategic, and distinguishing between the two requires more wisdom than I possessed. Lena's kindness was strategic, carefully deployed to extract maximum resources while maintaining plausible deniability. These lessons haven't made me happier. If anything, they've made me more isolated, more cautious, less willing to risk connection with other people. But they've also made me more realistic. I understand now that my quiet nature, my gentleness, my conflict avoidance, these aren't strengths to be celebrated. They're vulnerabilities that people like Lena can exploit. I was perfect target material. Lonely, financially stable, emotionally starved, too conflict, avoidant, to ask hard questions. She read me perfectly, and she used what she learned to systematically extract what she needed, while giving me just enough apparent affection to keep me compliant. I sometimes wonder what she's doing now. Whether she found another foreign husband to replace me. Whether she's still with the boyfriend she called her real man. Whether she learned anything from my sudden departure, or if she just moved on to the next mark without looking back. I'll never know. I've kept her blocked on everything. Refused to look her up on social media or ask mutual acquaintances for updates. That chapter of my life is closed, and reopening it would only cause more pain. The Thai language, though that's complicated, I still remember a lot of what I learned. Phrases and words surface in my mind unexpectedly, triggered by random associations. Sometimes I'll hear Thai being spoken at a restaurant or grocery store, and I'll understand fragments of conversation. It's like carrying around a weapon that wounded me. I can't unlearn it, can't forget it, can't make it go away. The language that was supposed to bring me closer to someone I loved instead became the instrument of my destruction. My brother asked me recently if I regretted moving to Thailand, regretted marrying Lena, regretted learning Thai. I thought about it for a long time before answering. I regret trusting her, I said finally. I don't regret trying. If I'd stayed in Ohio, stayed alone, stayed safe, I'd still be lonely. At least I tried. It didn't work out, and I got hurt badly. But I tried. Would you try again? With someone else? No. Once was enough. I learned my lesson. What lesson is that? That some people are built for relationships and some aren't. I thought I was one of the former. Turns out I'm one of the latter. And that's okay. Better to accept it than keep trying and failing. My brother looked sad when I said that. You're 56, not 90. You've got decades left. You're really going to spend all of them alone? Probably. But alone is different now than it used to be. Before Thailand, I was alone but didn't know why. Now I know why. I'm too easy to manipulate, too trusting, too desperate for connection. Those qualities make me vulnerable to people like Lena, and I can't change them. So the safer choice is to be alone. That seems sad. It is sad. But being with someone who doesn't actually care about you is sadder. At least when I'm alone, I'm not being actively deceived. He didn't have a response to that, because he knew I was right. The title of this story is, My Thai Wife Didn't Know I Understood Thai. What I Heard Broke Me. It's accurate. Understanding Thai, understanding the language of the woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted, the woman I'd thought cared about me, broke me completely and permanently. I learned her language to feel closer to her. Instead, the language showed me that we'd never been close at all, that every moment of our relationship had been performance, that she'd studied me, identified my vulnerabilities, and exploited them with precision while maintaining a parallel life I knew nothing about. The truth didn't set me free. It destroyed me. And 3 years later, I'm still living in the ruins of that destruction, trying to figure out how to build something from what's left. Sometimes I think about that night on the balcony, about standing in the dark bedroom, listening to Lena tell her boyfriend that I was just for stability, that I was slow and easy to control, that I loved her too much to leave. She was right about all of it. I was slow to see what was happening, slow to question, slow to protect myself. I was easy to control, so desperate for affection that I'd accept manipulation as love. And I did love her too much. The only thing she got wrong was the last part. She said, I loved her too much to leave. But I did leave, quietly, without confrontation, without giving her the chance to manipulate me one more time. I left, and I never looked back. Understanding her language didn't connect us. It showed me the truth. And the truth, the devastating, heartbreaking truth, was that we'd never been connected at all. I'd been married to a performance, and when I finally understood the language well enough to hear what she really thought, the performance ended, and there was nothing underneath. Just emptiness, and the ruins of a man who'd believed in something that never existed.